saying, I live in fear of getting the wrong blobs on the index. But anyway, and after we did a tally afterwards, over half, not counting desserts, which are vegetarian, of the savoury dishes, over half are vegetarian and a third are vegan. I have got one vegan cake, actually, which is fantastic. And this isn't because I've sat down and thought I must do vegan recipes. It's because, in a way, eating, if you are relaxed about it, takes in all manner of eating, all forms of eating. But I do think that that's been perhaps the biggest change, that vegan used to be a byword for dull, worthy food, and now I think immediately when I think of vegan, I often think of creative, bold flavoured, exciting food. And I do think, and I'm sure you agree, if you like cooking, cooking with, in a way, concentrating on the sort of food with a different focus makes you think quite interestingly, or I find it interesting, when I cook, to think, how can I do that? I don't like using a lot of those fake things. I don't really want to get vegan cheese, because I'm not a vegan. So I suppose it's that, but in a way, I think that is a trend that I think maybe anyone who writes about food is influenced by, or we're a part of it, without being, I would say, consciously following a trend.
Just on family, I love that your daughter called you the most childish adult she'd ever met. I don't know what context, but
I don't know what context. I'm going to have
charming.
With her.
Oh, this was sort of homework that I'd done. I thought, well, that's really hard to do, particularly when you've been the sole parent for a long time, that you're sort of holding up those worlds, and yet you still
I'm not. I was obviously I obviously was
frustrating her.
Yes, I was obviously doing something like that, because I don't know that I am. I don't know that she'd always say that, but maybe I am. Maybe I am very childish. I always think of myself as someone who's never been childish, even as a child.
Yeah. I believe you're more comfortable being an adult.
Yes.
That those years were difficult in some ways.
Yes, but I think that a lot of people just aren't suited to being a child. I didn't. I didn't like playing and things like that, and and being told what to do all the time. People used to say, "Brush your hair," always, and I just had brushed it.
Do you feel you're at a stage of life now that you can do pretty much what you want to? You can guide it whichever way. You're in a good space.
Oh, I feel I have no control over anything.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But this wonderful sort of creative ideas, books coming.
Oh, I love
and,
that.
Yeah,
no, I
all
like
that.
But what I mean is that you just have an idea, and each time you think, every time I finish a book, I think, that's it. I'll never be able to do another one. I don't, and I always feel very bad about sticking my head at you. I also feel, to some extent, that life is so uncontrollable. So that's maybe why the discipline of cooking gives me pleasure. That there's still a bit of chaos going on in the kitchen, and yet it's contained, and there are certain rules as well. Not too many. I'm not really good at following rules, but I think that I never feel I never know what's going to happen. You never know what's around the corner, what's going to go well, what's going to go badly, and so I suppose I'm not a planner, and I don't know. I always feel like, who knows what's next?
Sounds like you very much live in the moment. That time in the kitchen is creative time, it's joyous time, and beautiful things come out of it.
I wish I could say that were true. I do live in the moment a bit when I cook, but I'm also, like so many of us, I'm also, I have terrible vices, which is I can be a terrible festerer.
What's a festerer?
When I sit and fester over things. So I do lots
stewing.
So I feel that I do, yes, stewing. I do a lot of that. I do a lot
what
of
are you
worrying.
Festering over
I do
at
a
the
lot
moment?
of worrying. No. I can fester over, it's like the smallest things. Like, it really would be what I'm going to wear, what I wore yesterday, when should I have gone into that side of the road or that side of the road? Well, not quite as bad as that, but, it could be. And I worry about things in the future, but that's why I think, working and being with people, is liberating, because you don't then. But I think we all, It's a bit like lying on a massage table and thinking the good side is thinking about a roast chicken I might make, but the bad side might be that when I did that roast chicken before, I really think that would be better if I'd done it differently.
But you are a phenomenal worker, aren't you? You do work hard.
Yes, but I like my work. You know, that I'm in this immensely privileged and wonderful position of feeling that I'm being me when I work. And there are always things that I don't like doing. And anything that requires filling in a form is that sort of thing. That I find there's no pleasure to be derived from that. But, so there are always things you don't want to do, but broadly speaking, that I'm not feeling I'm having to sacrifice myself when I'm working. And obviously my work frightens me, but I think fear is a necessary element of life and work. Not too much fear, but just enough.
Fear of?
I don't know, just that you won't be able to do something.
Do you really eat from the fridge late at night?
I don't quite know how. In theory, no, but in practice, yes. I mean, I find as I've got older, I can't eat quite so late into the night.
Oh.
But that doesn't always stop me.
So what are snack foods late at night constitute? Something that you
Well, if there's
there.
any blue cheese in the house, that's it.
Yes.
You know. But otherwise, it's about just using, seeing something that's in the fridge. Good bread and butter.
Yeah, it calls to
always.
you, doesn't it?
Oh, always. But routinely, that's when I eat chocolate. Dark chocolate, so it's... I always say I need the magnesium, and
Is there something you don't eat, Nigella?
I don't like, I think I said before, I don't like a green bell pepper, whatever you call it. You don't call it that.
Green capsicum.
I don't eat that, but I feel that, you see, I don't feel bad about anything I do eat, because in the sense that, because I don't deny myself. For example, routinely, I just have 2 squares of chocolate. That's really about, for me, the perfect amount. But because I'm not denying the chocolate to myself, I don't then have to have the whole bar. The only time I do is if I've been drinking, but I don't drink an awful lot, and I'm such a poor drinker that I can have 2.5 glasses of wine and then I have to go into eating overdrive because I've got pathetic capacity. It's not Australian.
Tell me the 5-2, the intermittent fasting, is that something that has crossed your boundaries at all, the idea of actually eating less on particular days? Or?
I've come across, I know a lot of people who do it, and I've come across it in a different way when someone I know was very ill and nothing was working in the hospital, did put her on a fast and it did trigger recovery. And she told me that she did something which was advised, which was she every day left 16 hours between meals, so she did that every day, and she didn't need to lose weight or anything, it was a health thing. And I did see a television program when it was shown that, as much as, for all I know, there's much evidence to the contrary as well. There always is in science, or in the so-called what's healthy or not. But Michael Mosley did do that talk when he said it was thought to slow down various degenerative diseases, including dementia. And so that's interesting. But it's a long time not to eat. Isn't it?
It is a long time not to eat. Or go
and
have a
I'm not
snack.
a picker in between meals much, but I do like to have meals, and I think missing one out would make me panic.
I love that the UNESCO decreed the French meal as one of the intangible treasures of the world. That's stopping and sitting and eating. Do you think that's something that we need to be including in the way that we live as life goes faster?
Well, I think it's one of those difficult things because I think it's really important, and yet, you know, for so many people, the days are so frenzied and difficult to get through this that I don't see the point in us then making people feel bad because they're not spending longer sitting down and having a civilized meal, even if it's 10 minutes. We're very fast eaters in my home, so a meal is over pretty quickly. So even if it's 10 minutes you're sitting and you've eaten everything and you've talked, that's a well-spent minutes. That's a well-spent 10 minutes. I do, for me, it makes a big difference. I don't like, I mean, I'd rather eat standing up than not eat at all, for sure. But preferably, otherwise I'd be sitting at a table or lying in bed, one of the two. But but I do think that thing of sitting at a table just can feel like a moment's breath, and that it isn't just that you're actually savouring the moment, and I think that's very important. I feel that when I cook. I like to savour the moment as I cook, but I certainly do when I eat. One of my life's ambitions is to make myself into a slower eater.
How's that going?
Not brilliantly. What I'm trying to not brilliantly, and I know it's meant to be better for us all, but I think eating slowly makes it less pleasurable.
Is this mindful eating? So it's many times.
No, it's just so you no, because sometimes I think it's just that embarrassing thing when I've finished my lunch and someone's 3 mouthfuls in. I think that as long as I think eat the first few mouthfuls fast and then slow down. I think that's mindful eating. I don't know. I think that I like being flooded with pleasure, and that's what eating fast gives me. But then I do think it is good to slow down a bit. So I'm trying to come to a working arrangement. I will keep you posted.
I want to ask you about the Me Too movement, the rising up of women against workplace predators. Is that something that you have viewed with interest, the way that this has sort of unfolded? I think
everyone's. I don't want to say interest. I think everyone's viewed it. I suppose, well, some people have different interests, but I think everyone feels that it's. Well, it says something important. And I think it's also very good that young women are brought up, perhaps to fight and to feel they must stand up for themselves. I think certainly women of my generation were always encouraged to make men feel good about themselves, and I don't mean that meant we were taught to acquiesce, but in perhaps shunning any overture, we were always told that we mustn't make a man feel bad about anything, and I think that it's good that there's a generation of women who aren't being brought up to think that the most important thing is that the man feels okay about having made a pass at someone that is rejected.
Yeah, we've moved a long way from that, I agree.
Yeah.
And the food industry, and particularly the restaurant industry, is one of those hierarchical workplaces where a lot of bullying and intimidation can take place. But that hasn't been part. You haven't. Well,
I'm not part of the restaurant world.
You haven't been part of that restaurant world.
I also think anyway. I'm always very concerned about the fact that it's very important to remember that this affects women in every line of work, and perhaps and in very unglamorous lines of work too, where they don't have voices to complain, and I think it's important that those women's lives are being paid attention to and being safeguarded.
Youth culture still rules in the Western world, and yet in many other cultures, older women reign supreme. Can you see a stage that in the Western world we'd really value and respect older women? Like, could grey become the new black? do you think?
What do you think? I think in some way that, it's so difficult to say because I think